Hi, this is Derek Sloan. I just wanted to do a bit of an election recap with you and go over why, even though we had so much momentum, so much support, so many volunteers, things didn't turn out the way that we had hoped for. And I just want to say up front that I'm not disappointed. We put all of it out there. We played our hardest. We fought our hardest. We had so many hundreds of volunteers working their hearts out, and we did the absolute best that we could. There's nothing we could have done different. And so I'm not concerned. We're going to keep moving forward and keep fighting. But I just wanted to give you a few thoughts as to why, even though we had so many volunteers, so much support, that things fell short. And I believe it had to do with the race becoming a very tight race. So initially it was thought that the Conservatives didn't have much of a chance, but then the polls evened up quite significantly. It was a very close race. And a lot of people, unfortunately, reflexively voted Conservative, thinking that it would somehow stave off a Justin Trudeau victory, and Justin Trudeau won again in any event. So I just wanted to tell you that we did have probably, as far as I can tell, the best campaign at a local level in the entire country. We literally had hundreds of volunteers, thousands of work hours on the streets, multiple teams of people knocking at doors, lots and lots and lots of financial contributions from across the country, great responses in the community. But at the end of the day, I think people looked at themselves, plugged their noses, and voted for an establishment party anyways, just to try to get Trudeau out. So that is what I believe happened here. Across the country, it's unfortunate to see that the Liberals won again. Now, I will say this. The sheen is coming off the Liberals. They certainly are not nearly as popular as they were when they won in 2015, and they're even less popular, as far as I can tell, than they were in 2019. Now, they did eke out a win. They eked out a couple more seats, but remember that they were favored to win a majority going into this, and their fortunes changed quite significantly. So I believe that the time is coming soon for Justin Trudeau. I think a lot of the scandals and corruption behind the scenes is going to start to come out in the open. I think that the Conservative strategy of running a safe, moving to the left, becoming, more liberal in a lot of respects, that strategy, again, is shown to be, didn't hold water either. I mean, Aaron O'Toole did worse than Andrew Scheer with respect to total vote count, with respect to seat count. I mean, there's a few seats that are still outstanding here, but the fact is he certainly didn't do better, and he likely did a little bit worse. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly the knives come out for Aaron O'Toole. I'm sure they're being sharpened right now. Aaron O'Toole will want to try to hold on to his position as long as he can. But certainly his position of, let's just avoid controversy, avoid any, social conservative issue, be really in favor of abortion, really in favor of anything to do with LGBTQ or things of this nature. This kind of, progressive move of the federal Conservatives did not bring the victory that they wanted. So this is another interesting thing to point out. And really, I believe Canada is looking for an alternative. Of course, the PPC did, much better than they did before. There's no doubt about that, but they failed to win any seats, which is unfortunate. And Canadians overall have not yet woken up to the grave threat to liberty that the COVID responses have been in this country and continue to be. So while there are many of you watching this video that are awake, the average Canadian is still not quite there yet in terms of waking up. They're still voting just based on a color of a party as opposed to true principles. We saw that here in the riding that I ran in, where one of the candidates who was clearly, and no offense to this person, I'm not going to name this individual, but this person was the least experienced by far, clearly the least informed on certain things, and that person, based on the color of the party, did much better than some of the other candidates. So a lot of Canadians kind of are not up to speed with what's going on, do not yet realize the threat to the liberties that we're facing here in this country. But that time will come soon. With the Liberals in power again, we're going to be seeing more restrictions, more heightened and divisive rhetoric of, saying that they're going to eliminate human rights challenges to, some of these vaccine mandates, that they're going to make protesting illegal in certain areas. This Liberal Party does not care about freedom of speech, freedom of protest, freedom of conscience. They care only about winning, and they will do it in the most divisive manner that they possibly can. The rest of Canada will wake up to this eventually, and hopefully soon. So many of you watching this are freedom-loving, patriotic Canadians, and I'm sure that you voted for a freedom candidate. There was freedom candidates in almost every riding across the country, so I hope you did vote for that. If you plugged your nose and voted for an establishment party anyways, look what we got. We got basically the same old. So until we start voting differently, we're not going to get different governments. So I hope this is a lesson for everybody. If you're a freedom-loving person but voted your nose plugged your nose and voted for an establishment party, hopefully you'll think about that strongly by the next election. And if you're a regular Canadian who thinks that everything's hunky-dory and that everything that Justin Trudeau is doing is great, you need to look at what they're actually doing. Don't look at his smiles. Don't look at his speeches. Look at the division that's being sowed across the country. Look at the policies that they want to create. Look how they want to censor the internet. Look how they want to shut down protests. Look how they want to remove human rights protections from people who, have exemptions for vaccines or masking and things like this. So you need to look at what's going on, not just look for a pretty face or for smiles and smooth words. So that's what we need to do. That's just a bit of a recap here on this election. I would say right now, you basically have the establishment parties and you have freedom options. And you need to make sure that you support the freedom options. All the establishment parties are basically the same. There may be some leadership challenges in some of the establishment parties, but they're basically the same. They're not standing up for freedom. They're not standing against, globalism and some of these other forces that are out to destroy Canada. And we need to make sure we're standing for freedom candidates. A lot of people plugged their nose and voted for an establishment party just because they didn't want to, split the vote. And look what happened. We have basically identical results as we did before. If you want different results, you have to start doing things differently. So let me leave you with that takeaway. I wanted to thank everyone who supported me and other freedom candidates across the country. I will continue to do what I've said I was going to do before, which is continue to grow, continue to build the freedom movement. So stay tuned for more exciting announcements on what I'm up to. I'm not stopping now. I have even more time on my hands to be able to fight this fight and to bring great resources for you with respect to how to respond to what the government is doing here in Canada. So thank you so much for your support. I'm not the least bit disappointed or upset. There is much more work to be done in Canada, regardless of the outcome of this election, and we're going to do it. Thank you so much. God bless you, and God bless Canada.